I'd like to welcome to stage John Asquith, Head of Innovation for Government, ServiceNow.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today. In the previous session, Jonas Peterson talked about customer-focused service delivery. So delivering a great service has to be a key goal for any government department. I think most of us would agree that the customer's overall experience of the service is what really counts. So in this session, I'm going to share some thoughts on what a great experience might look like and how you design and deliver a service that gives people a great experience. Finally, what is required to enable you to scale these services and deliver at speed. By way of introductions, my name is John Asquith, and my role is to engage with the ServiceNow community to raise awareness and ensure the conversations that we're having are aligned to the needs of our customers. I also get involved in lots of innovative new use cases for the ServiceNow platform with our customers and our partners, and I run some of our hackathons, which you'll hear more about in a moment. Our purpose at ServiceNow is to make the world of work better for people. And that's exactly what I would like to be able to help you to achieve in your respective organizations as well. So what does better look like? Well, to start with, we want to help people work the way they want to, not how most software dictates that they have to. Which means we need to help organizations to easily build the experiences that people want so that you have a motivated and engaged workforce and better outcomes for the community that you serve. But in order to do that, we need to have a view on what those experiences might look like. We do quite a bit of research on this, and I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that our analysis suggests that the future of work is going to be deeply human-centric, and it will be focused around this notion of experience. We see that technology is likely to play a key role in improving our experiences, both as customers and employees, by freeing us from the mundane, menial tasks, giving us the time back to be able to focus on the more meaningful activities in our lives. So what is a great experience for someone who wants to interact digitally with government? At ServiceNow, we recognize that behind every great experience, there's a great digital workflow. And in case there's any doubt about that, we got about 100 people together in a dozen teams from our customers and partners for a hackathon to see how they could use the platform to digitize workflows to improve the way people engage with government. The Minister for Customer Services in New South Wales came along and had this to say about what he thinks a good experience is all about.
Customer service is all about understanding what the customer wants, not what government wants to give the customers. Events like hackathons help us understand the customer better and, more importantly, what the customer wants, and then to better understand and customise our service to the people of our state. We've still only got 24 hours a day. Time is the final frontier. But with technology moving so fast, we're getting more and more apps, more and more digital clutter. What I can do is not just give money back to people in terms of refunds and rebates, but give time back to people. The best way is to make sure you only engage with government once. If we can give time back to people, then that will make for a far better customer experience.
The overriding message from the Minister that was also reflected in some of the things that Jonas talked about earlier is that giving time back to people is what's really important and focusing on what the customer wants and needs, not what government wants. Which means things like not asking the same questions about you every time you interact and having some understanding of what are the most relevant services, well, to me as an individual. But improving the customer experience is also good for government. Research consistently shows that some of the key metrics like trust and customer satisfaction are improved, as you would expect. But also your organization becomes more efficient. You can reduce operational and reputational risk, and you end up with happier employees. It also means giving customers visibility into your organization so that they can see the status of their requests and how their issue is tracking without necessarily having to get on the phone or waiting for someone to get back to them with an update. The last challenge is a little bit scary to most government organisations. The idea of exposing your internal processes to the general public would have been unthinkable a few years ago, and much of the work that has been done around customer engagement has been aimed at eliminating the ability for people to talk to back office staff who are doing the work and who actually know what's going on. That's been done by reducing the number of telephone numbers that they can call and having to interact through service centres. But if that doesn't enable an issue to be resolved quickly or doesn't allow someone to know how things are tracking, I think that sounds like a bad experience. So getting those back office workflows digitized and connected to the front office to enable people to engage directly with all parts of your organization now has to be the primary objective to enable services to be improved. The interesting thing that we found is that for people working in operational units whose job is to get stuff done, digitizing workflows has not only improved the customer experience, it's also improved the employee experience. That's because employees spend an average of 42% of their time at work doing menial tasks, which are boring and frustrating. And most people would rather be doing more meaningful work that uses their human skills more effectively, leaving machines to do the menial work. A good example of an organisation who has really embraced this approach is Kiwi Bank, which is the National Bank of New Zealand, as you'd expect. Kiwi Bank have used the ServiceNow platform as the layer that sits between their back office systems of record, the traditional banking platforms, and the customer. It's used across the branches, contact centres, operations, and other teams to work on and automate customer processes to make them more efficient and effective. For example, they're using it for their loan repayment changes. In fact, they faced the risk of a $50 million fine if they didn't comply with the Commerce Commission's requirements to provide loan updates when they make changes to a loan and to be able to track this. So they're also using it for credit card application processing, appointment booking, and over time they'll be extending its use to several hundred other processes. They used to use emails and spreadsheets for a lot of these processes, like many other organizations, but they reckon they have saved tens of thousands of hours just in the first few services that they migrated by reducing that inefficiency. So they're pretty excited about how much benefit that they will be able to realize by moving all of their customer processes and workflows onto the Now platform. And as we've seen elsewhere, they've also seen improved employee engagement through reduced employee effort and doing more meaningful work. And also when COVID-19 hit New Zealand earlier this year, they were able to pivot very rapidly to deliver new services, especially to support those in need, and delivering those in a matter of days. Digitizing these workflows will enable the platform to identify and learn what good looks like. Like any platform that uses AI, the ServiceNow platform needs to learn, and it needs some data to learn. And the data needs to come from every stage of those workflows, even if the workflow extends over multiple areas of an organization or multiple organizations, and obviously the various systems of record that support those areas. Which means that the platform that provides these workflows actually needs to sit on top of those other platforms that provide just parts of the solution. In other words, the digital workflow platform actually needs to become the platform of platforms in order to deliver the kind of experiences that customers want. And not every organization is able to go all in straight away with digitizing their workflows and creating a new service catalog of all those services that are now available digitally. But I agree with Jonas that COVID has taught us some really important lessons. And for me, one of the great outcomes is that we have seen how government and industry can come together with a single purpose and get things done quickly and at low cost using this platform-based approach. For example, I don't know if any of you would have seen a recent article that was commenting on the sudden improvement in the way that Home Affairs is managing the exemption process for Australians to travel overseas. So Home Affairs were already using the ServiceNow platform for their IT service management, but realized that they needed to be able to respond rapidly to the changing needs for international travel. So they came to us and we were able to switch on some additional customer workflow capabilities in their platform and deliver various new citizen-facing portals to manage the application and approval processes for those exemptions, as well as some other travel-related use cases, and that was literally within a matter of weeks. And this was all using low or no-code agile development processes and running in the cloud, so the workflows were able to scale rapidly to not only meet current demand, but also eliminate weeks of backlog in just a few days. And now, instead of an email-based application process, which could often take weeks for a response, and which in many cases would result in a rejection simply because the right information had not been provided, approvals are now happening in a matter of minutes in some cases, as the workflow has sufficient intelligence to automate the application process and even some of the approvals. And many of our other customers and partners have also built solutions on the Now platform over the last few months to support operations using the platform during these times, particularly in the health sector, and most of them are free. So here's a few of them, one of which actually got a mention from Kim Kardashian, so we must be doing something right. The thing that all of these applications have in common is the speed that they have been developed, which from an innovation perspective is something that we're loving to see. And what's really exciting to me is that the consequences of being able to solve problems at such a rapid pace is going to be transformational in its own right. And when we combine that ability with the capability that technology platforms such as the ServiceNow platform bring to the table, which have already had billions of dollars invested in them to build a robust, secure and scalable platform, we're likely to see the pace of change ramp up even more. And our ability to respond rapidly has never been more important as we face a whole range of new challenges and different ways of both living and working. One of the biggest challenges that will be faced by both government and businesses in the next few years will be to recover from the economic impacts of this pandemic, whilst trying to build a more sustainable global economy. So as well as improving customer and employee experience, we also need to consider the most effective way of restoring the health of the economy. I suspect one significant contributor could be increasing productivity, which can be achieved through automation. I realize there are deep suspicions about the impact of automation, especially as it relates to jobs and society generally, and those suspicions are not without merit, but they are often based on a rather futuristic notion of automation where machines take over from humans and take away our jobs. And I'm sure most of you who are listening to this will agree that the reality is somewhat different, and it's important that we ensure that automation technology becomes a force for good, not bad. And managed correctly, I think it can, in fact, become a significant force for good. In fact, last year, McKinsey explored the potential outcomes either way in its article on Australia's automation opportunity and found that accelerated adoption of automation could actually improve annual productivity by up to 150%, increase income by between $4,000 and $15,000 per Australian, and grow GDP by up to $600 billion by 2030. It sounds almost too good to be true. So we need to think about what sort of automation will enable this kind of outcome. The key to unlock this opportunity is by creating digital workflows to replace the old manual processes. Tasks are then distributed to and completed by people who are connected together by these digital workflows as part of a holistic, connected enterprise. That way, people can be located anywhere, including those working from home or in regional areas, without any impact to their ability to get work done. The work required to complete these tasks would eventually be augmented by machines, which make sure that people have access to the right information and advice to make the best decisions and to take the right actions. Fundamental to this approach is for your platforms to have access to machine learning and AI technologies to enable the machines to learn from people and over time to start taking the more menial work off them, to enable people to spend more time on that meaningful work that needs the skills of a person to do the right thing. So I'm going to finish with a final example of using digital workflows that will make work better for us. ServiceNow has been busy itself delivering new capabilities between releases to address some of the immediate challenges like returning to work in a way that is safe and controlled with our new Safe Workplace apps. So I wish you all the best through these very challenging times, and I'd like to finish with this video that hopefully will help you to consider how you and your teams can stay safe as we try to return to some kind of normal.
The country's getting back to work, and it needs reassurance that public services will be there too, now and in the future. But whether you're local government, central government, education, health or transport, how do you get your teams, the people needed the most, back to work and keep them safe too? That's where ServiceNow comes in. The Safe Workplace apps. 5 apps for your employees, building confidence of a safe return to the workplace, connected to one simple dashboard. And we've got every aspect covered, from engaging with staff to understand if they're ready and happy to come back, looking at their route to work and making sure it's safe to travel, helping you manage the facility when they're back, making sure the office space is planned correctly and people's movements are being tracked, giving them assurance that the workplace is ready and that they have the tools they need to do their jobs. And what does the data do? It gets rid of your silos, building confidence, keeping teams motivated, increasing productivity. ServiceNow can help get public service teams back to work safely.